Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another Community Connections with Ryan Sauers. I'm super excited to have my friend and colleague, Ann Weeks, owner of Five Forks Academy, with us on the show today. Ann, how are you, my friend?
I am awesome, Ryan. How about yourself?
I am great, and you and I had some fun catching up via Zoom before we went live, so that was fun. Missed seeing you in person, but too bad we didn't buy a lot of Zoom stock about 9 months ago, Ann.
I'll be honest with you. I was looking at that, and but granted, I'm kind of glad I didn't buy any of that stock because I needed that money to keep my business running.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well. First of all, I just want to brag. As a friend and a colleague, I think we do need to start. I mean, not only we talk about your business and all, all the stuff you do, but you got hit with a business dilemma of something you couldn't control. In other words, you can't control the fact the pandemic broke out and the government said you have to close your doors, which is different, right, than 9/11 or other things where you said this is going to be, or 2008, when the stock market, when the economy crashed,
right.
because we wanted to work, but we couldn't. So tell us a little bit about that as a business owner. We got a ton of people, principals, pastors, business owners, but you kept your business afloat, kept your employees there, but you were also shut.
We were closed. We closed our doors on March 16th, and it was a very, very emotional decision for me, but I knew it was going to be the best because of the unknown of the pandemic. It was very, very scary. My nursing background told me, you know, don't play with this. You've
Hmm.
got to recognize that there could be really, really bad repercussions. So we closed, and I immediately called my banker, and she was very supportive and absolutely wonderful. I called my HR company, and I got my employees set up for partial unemployment, and they were on it in a heartbeat. And it worked out really, really well. I applied for the PPP a couple weeks after this all started, but in the interim, I was I acquired a loan through my mortgage company, and that kept me afloat. I was able to pay some bills that I knew needed to be paid because my vendors are commission sales also, and I just didn't want to leave anybody hanging. And my employees got that partial unemployment check right off the bat, and then a few days later they got that bonus check, and it worked out so well for them and for me. I think the first 2 weeks were very, very scary for us all. But then I started, after they got their money, after they were taken care of, and I saw the funds in my personal account, and I had that loan in my bank account, I was like, whew, okay, we can do this.
Yeah, and that's important because you've been on, not only are we friends and we've had countless meetings. You've been on my Marketing Matters radio show, and I think even one of the shows, I think it was you and Kathy Coots were on the show. We were all talking about everybody wants to be their own business owner. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. I'll tell you what, I heard from a lot of people. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes right now. I
Yeah,
mean, the first couple of weeks.
absolutely. It was a lot of decisions that had to be made. You had to weigh everything, and a lot of it was on faith. I hope this is the right thing that I'm doing. So
I watched Frozen 2 in the early days of COVID with all my girls were home, and they all like, even no matter what their age, they like that. And there was a saying in there that says, if you don't know what to do the next right thing. And I know you and I both try to do that because there was no manual or playbook for this.
no, 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 and that's where my HR company came in really, really handy. They were experts. I mean, they knew what to do. They knew what forms to file. And I was really thankful that I hired them a couple of years ago.
But expertise and expediting that was very important, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Because a lot of people are so just standing around staring at the sky, and I'm going, hey, you know what, you got to do something. I mean, after you get over the initial shock, I saw many people that I had, well, I'll be careful how to say that, but people that reached out to me about business acquisitions or whatever in terms of me acquiring something. They just said, oh, I'm sure you're just shutting down too. I'm like, No, I can't be, for the magazines we do, we can't be positive community news and just not come out. I said, it's going to be everything I can humanly do to do it. And it's just been, I don't know about you, Ann, but just watching our educators, and you were talking about your staff and just people coming together. Hadn't it been amazing?
It has been amazing, and I am so proud of my staff. June 1st, we opened up and we were receiving the students after we'd spent 4 days cleaning the building, reorganizing. We did a lot of training about, how to disinfect, how to clean, how to manage your own fear, how to help the children manage their own fear and their anxiety. And we were so well prepared. We had, masks and our PPE and lots and lots of paper towels and lots and lots of, oh my gosh. So, but they have all really pitched in, and I am just so proud of them. And the children have been wonderful. Those kids will keep their mask on.
Wow.
And yes, little itty bitty kids.
They probably do better than I do because I can't remember to do it. I hate it, but that's good for those kids that they're doing it.
We are very, very impressed with, it's fun. We made it fun for them.
Yeah.
And they're all looking at each other's masks, and everybody feels like a superhero wearing a mask. So that's I'm very, very proud how we've all pulled together and how it's worked out. Yes.
Yeah, I've seen, we've seen it with restaurants. We've seen, I've seen restaurants close. I mean, they just didn't make it out of this. I'm using restaurants, other businesses, I'm sure too. They just closed. Yeah. I consider us, you and me both, to be blessed to be, doing what we're doing today. But I also believe that, and I don't know, you tell me if you agree, but the seeds you planted and paying it forward, I guess, with employees and customers and whatever, I know I feel this way. It was just wonderful to see kind of people going, hey, we got your back during the tough times, because, I don't do it, nor do you, for some reward, but it was really neat to see some people being, hey, we're with you in this.
Well, and I agree with that. And a lot of that comes from respect. And it's a mutual respect on both ends. And, faith is involved in that too. So I think we all had an opportunity to really think about how fortunate we are during that shelter in place. Once we got through the very, very anxious times, I took advantage of that opportunity. I really did. It was, I was glad to come back to work, but I will look back on those 3 months and say that was really a good experience.
Well, I've said in the beginning this, God's in control of all this stuff, and I've been saying for years, we say I'm slammed, I'm drowning, I'm running ragged, whatever. And one of the times I was talking to my mom and dad early on in this thing, I said, so, we've always said for these years we don't have time, and now we've got all this time. And my dad echoed in. He says, now what do we do with it? And the people that did self-reflection or spent quality time with their family, probably come out stronger. And I sure hope most people learn more about themselves and what really matters. Because like you and I were talking about before air, it was kind of like a hard reset on your computer.
Absolutely. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. I've had a number of people come back in and say, I learned so much in that time off. And it's been a good experience for a lot of people.
But you realize all the little things, hey, I want to go out to eat, or hey, I want to go to the beach, or hey, I don't want to go, whatever it is you want to travel somewhere. And when all that's, I love sports, all of it's gone. And you're like, you're alive, you're healthy, but you're like, oh my God, I took all this totally for granted.
Oh, I know, you're right. I read a lot of books.
Me too. Read a lot of books. I went through going, okay, some old Rockies I can watch for the 50th time. There's a show on Netflix, but reading, doing things. I'll tell you a funny story, Ann. So I'm getting near the end of my coursework of my doctorate, but in the midst of this class I was taking in the early days of the pandemic, one of the things was a change class says you need to write a strategic plan. And before this stuff started, I'd asked the professor and the doctorate thing I was doing, I said, can I just write it on my own company? And he said, sure. So this happens. And he says, how's that coming along, by the way, now that all this was up? I said, Yeah. So can I make that an emergency plan? Because the strategic's not, because everybody else in my cohort was mainly, higher ed or K through 12. So they were doing digital learning like my wife was, but it was different than what I was doing. I mean, it was hard for them too. But,
Yeah.
I come back again. It's been all of us business owners and people just figuring stuff out day to day, week to week, so that we can be, I hope, better than ever.
Oh, I agree. I agree completely. I think that this was a learning experience and people took advantage of it. And I agree. The word better than before, I agree.
Better than before. And the thing has been crazy here, Ann, and this, we had a booming economy, and you've started to watch the stock market go back up again, and I'm seeing houses sell on a dime. So everything we've
Oh,
seen in
yeah.
our, you know what I mean? A house in my neighborhood was listed at full price and sold before it even went on the market. So those things aren't normal with what we've seen when everything crashes. And so I see, I'm a believer that, we're going to get a vaccine created, or people are going to become immune to this, and we're going to get to the other side of this. And we've learned a lot as people, like you said, of faith, we don't control a whole lot of anything. It's been a lesson I've realized, we can control what we can control, but in the grand scheme of the world, not a whole lot.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I had one teacher tell me that she just had to pray. And I told her I prayed all the time. And that's what got me through this.
I love that. I love it.
Hmm.
Well, and you were talking about, the precious gift of time. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, when we are going back to work, and then there's people in all camps, you see, if you look at stuff of, you should never go back to work, we should be back at work the first day. But I tell people, there's a risk in everything in life, whether we live perfectly healthy to 95 years old or, don't. I mean, there's a risk getting in your car driving. There's a risk, I've had friends of mine who've had heart attacks and strokes, and they were like Iron Men. They ran every day. So, nothing's really in our control. We do the best we can. But let me ask you, so tell people about, what did you learn during this time? Is there anything Five Works Academy is going to incorporate more into the curriculum now, or extra tools in your toolbox that you didn't have before?
Actually, yes. Because one of the requirements for an environment like ours is that there's no visitors and no parents in the building. So we do our temperature check outside. The children are brought in and escorted by a teacher back to the classroom, but we can't invite new prospective families into the building. And I jokingly was talking to a new parent, or a parent who wanted to be a new parent, on the phone. And I said, I'm tempted to unlock the gates and walk people around the outside of the building and slide the window open so that they can talk to the teacher of the child's room. And jokingly, my curriculum coordinator said, or we could do Zoom virtual tours. And I looked at her and I said, hello. So we did a Zoom virtual tour this morning.
How did it go?
It was awesome. Um, there were three adults and two children, and my curriculum coordinator and myself. And we kind of walked around the building. We showed them the classroom, talked about different things. They asked questions. It was not as good as a regular tour, but it was a great punt.
So it maybe gives you another tool in the future if someone's maybe moving to Georgia or moving to this area that can't physically meet with you at first.
Absolutely. And same thing with interviewing a new staff member, somebody who might be moving in from out of town. So it's a tool that we've learned is out there. And like you said, wish I'd bought stock in it.
I know, right?
Yeah. So it's there's a lot of things that we have learned, and I think my staff members recognize too that they came before. This is my classroom. This is my job. But I'm telling you, June 1st, they were doing everything.
Yeah.
They would look around and they just did something that needed to be done. And I just am so proud of them and so thankful. And I just appreciate them going out of their way to do what they feel they can be productive in and helpful with. So it's been a great experience.
Well, what do you think you've learned the most during this time, and for sharing with people, but personally or professionally, what in your reflection?
We don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
We really don't. And like you said, and anything can happen to anybody at any point in time. And I just think it's what I've learned is to appreciate what I have, to do the right thing, hope for the best, and plan for the worst.
Love that. I love that. Yeah, it's funny. I've been out taking a lot of walks during this time. I had a grand ambitions of a couch to 5K. My knees and back and stuff didn't do too well after week 4, but I kept up the walking. And I was just sitting there, and as I walked around, I was just trying to think. And I'm the kind of person who always wants to, push the envelope of what's better. But I really try to retrain my mind of just thinking, like you said, of all the positives. And when you really look at all of our lives, we have so much to be thankful for. So much to be
Yeah.
thankful for. And generally, you see people online or Facebook griping about something that's absolutely ridiculous, doesn't make any difference. And I hope these kids you're educating and the generations, our kids, you and my kids, because of being away from technology and kind of seeing some things, maybe the way it was old school slowed down a little bit. Maybe that'll have an impact on future generations.
I agree. And we have to, technology is a wonderful tool, but we have to have a balance.
Yes.
They need to be outside, and they need to run around, and they need to be still. Just be still.
Be still. And that's like my wife was saying the other night. She, I'd done a bunch of these Zooms, or matter of fact, I haven't been in the radio station in about 3 months. I'm going tomorrow, and I'm just, screened out looking at screens. And what do? I go upstairs and I'm on the deck and I'm looking at my phone. She's like, put that down. And so I think really all I want to see on the phone is something to show up on ESPN that's from the last 2 decades. I watched all the Michael Jordan things, and that was fun to go back in time. But a couple other things. First of all, what is the best way for our audience to get in contact with you guys? Because y'all do such an amazing job for kids and the community.
The phone is always, we've always got our technology in our hands, so you can reach us by phone. You can call 770-982-2000, and somebody will be glad to answer your questions. We have a great website that's got links to our Facebook page. That's www.fiveforksacademy.com. On Facebook, we post a lot, and Instagram, we also post a lot. Recently, we've been out on a lot of information about anti-racism, and accepting who we are and accepting anybody else who they are. And so we're providing some books, titles for children that the parents can get and things like that. So there's a lot of information on our Facebook page that changes frequently with the
Awesome.
times.
Well, no, it's a great page, and you guys are just such a vital part of this community. So as we kind of come to a close, what other things, or if you have anything else, do you want to share with our audience that might be in your heart or mind as we kind of come to a close on this show?
Wow, that's kind of a loaded question.
Yeah, I know, isn't it? That's my safeguard to
Yeah.
make sure you can say whatever. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Just be thankful for what you have, and be still every now and then, and say your prayers.
I've seen, and it's come, it's been crazy just to see how good a lot of people, so many people are paying for like a cup of coffee with the people behind them in line. I've heard story after story after story of these positive things. And, that's what makes me double down and go even harder to get the positive stuff out. Our world's never going to be perfect. And like you said, got a lot of change that's needed, but we can do it shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm. And you, my friend, are one of the best at it. So I thank you for coming on the show, Community Connection Show, and Weeks.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate you.
You are so welcome. All right, I'm going to close this down. Folks, this has been another Community Connections with Ryan Sauers with special guest Ann Weeks, owner of Five Forks Academy. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.